If you want to use the exact same graphics, it's in GitHub. So we have the static sprite, the boy, and the girl sprite sheet, which is a set, in this case, of 9 frames of the animation. To create your own graphics, which is the challenge today, you would need to get your own set of assets. And we're going to use the ones from gameart2d.com. You can buy some from them and maybe help them out. They were nice enough to make these freebies for everybody. And we're going to use the cute girl here. So click on free download. It's a zipped file. Extract the zipped file into the individual assets, and then we'll get the sprite sheet and put it into this type of single row so it's easier to work with in Flame. What I suggest you do is create a generic library of assets that you can use across multiple games. And within that asset directory, you might have a character asset. This is not going to be imported to your game right now. This is just to work on the files. So you paste the cute girl and then you extract it. Once you extract all, you have the individual files here. And you could use one of the individual files for your game. So that would be the first challenge, is just to use a single file without the animation and build the game that way. So follow the same steps in the tutorial. In this setup, there's 20 girls running, or 20 frames in this girl animation for running. Let's try to work with this. I'm going to copy all the 20 files for running. Create a new folder called Run. Maybe Running Girl so that it's clearer. Drop it in. For simplicity, I'm going to bulk resize these images so that we have a more workable or easier to manage. So I'm going to use this website here, bulkresizephotos.com. You can use any type of resize service. This is just the one I'm using. It's going to set the individual frame of the sprite sheet to 150. Set the height to 163. Select PNG transparent backgrounds. Start it, download the files, unzip it. Now I have this folder with the smaller images, just so that it's easier to work with and doesn't take up as much resources on the mobile app. And each file is of 150 width. So we have 20 files, and each one is going to be 150. So we're going to create a blank space on GIMP, which is a image editor that's 150 times 20, or 3,000 pixels. So go to GIMP, File, New. It's going to be 163 wide. We'll just have it all on one row, so it's easier to work with. So 20 times 150 is 3,000. Each frame is 150 wide, and we got 20 of them. And the height is 163. So it'll be one long row here. Make sure the alpha channel is enabled. Add alpha channel under transparencies. I just press delete to delete it, so it's a blank frame here. Under image, configure the grid. So the grid is horizontal is 150, and the vertical is 163. And then under View, select Show Grid and Snap to Grid. I'm going to disable Snap to Guides. So it should snap to the individual grid to make it easier to place. You have your files here. And these are the smaller ones that have been, that you got here. Let's place them on. So you place her on, and then you have this movement tool here, and then snap her into place. So you put her on, whoops, and then use the movement tool, and it snaps into place. So I'm on 3, snap into place. Continue this process until you have all 20. Let's move it. Make sure she snaps into place. I'm on 6. Pause the video. When you finish it, save it and export as PNG. I've laid out all 20. First, there's 2 parts. I'm going to save it. If you need to edit it again, you have the actual GIMP file as well. Then you need to export it as a PNG file. If you want to follow the tutorial, you can call it Sprite Sheet.xcf. That's for the GIMP file. And then go back to File, Export. Here, just make sure that it ends in PNG. So you get the transparent background, and just press export. You can select the default settings. Okay. Now we have a sprite sheet with a transparent background, 20 frames. Each frame, you're going to need to remember this is 150 times 163 pixels. You will need these numbers on the frame size for the sprite animation on Flame. When you build your game, there is a sprite animation data. If you don't know what this means, refer to the earlier videos in this tutorial series on sprite animation. But there is a sprite animation data right here on line 46. The texture size, this is where you're going to need to drop in the 150 and 163. This is X and Y. This vector here for texture size is the size of each frame. The size of the girl that's being displayed on the screen will be this sprite size variable here. This is different. The sprite size is different from the texture size. The texture size is the size of it on the actual sprite sheet graphic. The sprite size here, when you actually render the image, this is how it appears on the screen. Again, texture size is the actual size on the sprite sheet. That's what the sprite animation component will use to slice up. Texture size is the actual size of the sprite sheet. This size here under the sprite animation component from frame data, this is the size that appears on your mobile app game. So if you make this one bigger or smaller, the girl will appear bigger or smaller. Subscribe to the channel, where we'll be covering more techniques for sprite animation and adding audio to your fantastic Flame game. Be creative, find your own sprites, make your own sprite sheets, and use this technique to expose your creativity to the world. Subscribe to the channel and have a great day.